Good morning and welcome to Coach's Corner. I'm Braxton Gray, joined alongside Kaz Zino and, of course, Coach Everingham. Mr. Zino, it's good to have you back.
Oh, hey, it's always good to be back. You know, the world is a wonderful place. I got half my family or half my kids are living in Chicago, so I get to go up there in the Windy City and enjoy Lake Michigan and all the wonderful Polish restaurants.
And, of course, we had a very fun time last night calling the Garrett game in the morning and the Lighthouse game in the evening. So, Mr. Everingham, let's go ahead and talk about those games. So, you guys in the morning kind of came out in dominant fashion, just completely shutting out Garrett the first half, and then throughout the whole game, just really didn't allow them getting anything going on offense.
Yeah, it's not too often that you see somebody held scoreless, a varsity basketball team held scoreless in a quarter, but we come out in the first quarter. I'm not sure exactly. You guys probably know. It was 17-0 or
14. I got
14,
here.
14-0.
14-0, and I think we actually in the second quarter stretched it out to 19-0, 22-2, and I think that they probably didn't come into our gym ready to play in the morning game, and we were worried about that ourselves. Being a morning game and a tournament, atmosphere, that we really thought that early energy, coming into the Garrett game was key. And so you saw probably one team that came out with a little bit of energy and another team that did not. And fortunately for us, we made them pay. And I think, the thing that I said at halftime was that, we were up 22-2. But from that point moving forward, they outscored us, I think maybe 8-7 or whatever to close out the half. So we played a good half. It was hard for me to kind of manufacture something, to spur our guys to have a good third quarter. But I thought they're a capable team. They've shown over the course of their season, even though their record is not very good, that they have flashes of scoring. And so I thought you saw that for just a little while in the second quarter. We readjusted there at halftime and came out and won the third quarter by 11 points.
And
No, I was just going to say I really like Miller. 20 points in that game. I've got him down here 4 out of 5 from 3-point range.
Yep.
I mean, 4 out of 5 from 3-point range. I love that. That is really great. And his shot selection was great. The other thing, Hardy, 11 points. Those two guys, 31 points. Between them, that was a great game against Garrett.
Yeah, it was, and I think that we have there's a lot of things that go on that most people don't see, and I think the obvious reason for a radio show is to be able to talk about some of those things. But in the summertime, this really goes back to the summertime where Austin played really with no pressure on him. He let the game come to him, and he was very dominant in our summer games, and I think at the beginning of this year, he was just pressing a little bit. And you see that from seniors every once in a while. They know that this is their last go-around. So it's taken him just a second to kind of get comfortable with letting the game kind of come to him. And I think the Garrett game was a perfect example. He didn't force any shots.
Yeah.
When he was open, when it was there, he took it, and he made the shots. And so really proud of him. I think he's really developing into a very patient, a very effective and efficient, varsity basketball player. He scored 20 points in both games. You'll get a chance to talk to him today. So just really proud of him and how far he's come, with his development, and just couldn't be happier. But I will say one thing about the Garrett game that I think was most special is the number of people we got into the game.
that was actually my next question, because you actually had 10 players score that whole game, which in a high school basketball game, that is unbelievable. And how important is that to you to grow your younger players and let them get varsity minutes in a time like this?
Yeah, we thought it was crucial, and I think we would have done it against any team. It really didn't matter who we were playing. But 2 games in one day, really, when you have to play with the intensity that we have to play with and how hard we can't really, in the summertime, again, you go and you play 2 or 3 games in one day. You'll see, time stretches where you guys will take some time off, when they're playing. It's not like super intense. But for us to win varsity basketball games now, we have to play with the right amount of energy and effort. And I thought we did that against Garrett. So it was crucial for us to get a little bit of rest, so that we were ready for that second game. And I thought, honestly, we'll probably talk about it, but we came out in that second game with not quite it, in the first half. We just didn't have it. So and that was what I talked about at halftime at the Lighthouse game, is that it just wasn't quite there. And some of that, again, not making excuses, but we were playing 2 games in a day. And so usually you prepare for a game, you got a game plan, but we literally watched film on Lighthouse. We watched them play in the second game, and that's about it, so you just got to go out and give it all you got. I didn't think we quite did that in the first half against Lighthouse, and it showed.
And before we jump to the Lighthouse game, one big thing I was kind of surprised about was Ethan Carey got in the game, and he seemed to really draw the crowd into the game. Talk about what he brings to the game, since we haven't seen him play all season.
Yeah, I told him after the game, it's one of those things that you really, I didn't see it coming, but we put him into the game in the second half. He made a poor decision. Yeah, sometimes kids do, and he paid a hefty penalty within our basketball program. He paid a hefty penalty, being suspended from from the games, and we put him in the game in the second half. It was the first time he was eligible to go in the game, and to see the crowd kind of react the way they did when he went in the game. I know the look on his face, and then I asked him after the game, it was really kind of shocking to him that people actually knew, that he was coming into the game for the first time. And so what I told him was that, and this is a good lesson for all of our guys, that people love, the comeback story, and they're willing to forgive, and I think our community sees that in Ethan, that we all make mistakes, and we all learn from our mistakes, and he is doing that. His grades are I mean, just almost unbelievable how well he's come back in the classroom and on the basketball floor. And so I told him after the game, I said, everybody loves the comeback story, and they're willing to give a second chance, but not a third. And so there's motivation for him to kind of keep it straight. And he's such a great kid, and I really like him. Glad he's a part of the basketball program, and looking forward to him playing for a couple years now.
I like that too. I was looking at the minutes, and he got almost 10 minutes, and Robinson got almost 10 minutes. And then everybody else, Salazar, Miller, Duke, Stover, they got Boyer, they got over 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody played, but you really spread it out really, really well.
Well, that was actually scripted, and so I know I was watching a show with my wife, and she says I was.
You mean the really good basketball player in your family, right? Your wife.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
right. Absolutely.
She's the real coach.
The real coach. I love it.
Yeah. So to our kids, I got plenty of stories on that one.
Oh, I bet.
She said, "What are you doing over there?" I said, "Well, I'm trying to get everybody into the first half." She's like, "Wow, that's a lot of players to get in the first half." But we actually scripted that out. At 4 minutes, we're going to try to sub. Adam Beer was the first one that came off the bench, and all the way through, we got Martin. Just a little bit of playing time. Ray got in there and got a couple big rebounds, and so it was nice to see those guys get a little bit of a reward for the work that they've been doing in practice. We've talked on the radio show about how important those guys are in practice and making us better.
Oh, yeah.
But it's nice to see those guys actually on the floor.
And we're just going to go ahead and jump to the Lighthouse game briefly, since we kind of are in a short segment. So one thing you talked about early on in the season that you want to fix from your previous years is winning games over adversity and coming back, and when games are close, not kind of shutting down as you per se have in previous years. Talk about, you guys just took the lead in the third quarter against Lighthouse. You guys never really had the lead throughout the game. Talk about what your mindset was, the players, and never giving up and just keep pushing through until the very end.
Well, I think was actually a message I wasn't planning on yesterday, but we try not to really take we try not to pay attention to the scoreboard until the last 2 minutes of the game. So we try to plug away, stay to our game plan, all the way through, until the fourth quarter. So it doesn't matter if we're up or down. So we actually were up in the Garrett game, and I told them, hey, I don't care what the scoreboard says. These are things that we need to work on. These are things that we need to do. And I thought the team responded to that. So the same thing goes when you're behind in a game. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. These are the things that we're trying to accomplish, and that we think in terms of a game plan that's going to give us the best chance to win. So whether you're up or down, it's the same thing, until the last 2 minutes. Last 2 minutes,
Yeah.
through timeouts and set plays and things like that. You might have to change things up a little bit, but we've been changing our defenses. We've been making adjustments at halftime, and the old saying with the coaching community is he who holds the chalk last wins. That means any coach can draw up something that they think is going to work on paper, right? But to be able to coach players, to get them to go out on the floor to actually execute, that's on the team, right? And that's on the team. And our team has been doing an amazing job of taking some of the thoughts that are in my head and Coach O'Connell onto the floor and actually executing those with success. That's a big deal for us.
You have a really good team too with you and O'Connell, and there's just a great, intelligent group of coaches there that the kids won't realize till they're probably graduated from college. It's I love watching you guys coach, and then I've talked about this on the air a lot of times. I really love watching the intensity with which your kids pay attention to you guys when you're talking to them.
Yeah, and briefly, since we're kind of running out of time, just talk about what winning the holiday tournament at home means to you as the program, as a coach, and to you guys as a team.
Running out of time? Come on, Kaz. We don't run out of time.
Well, we got the next segment we can talk about it.
I'm really old. I mean, I've got...
we don't need to go to break. I mean, what? Is Mr. Van Loo going to come storming through here and say we got to go to break? I don't know. Brex, you can do whatever you want, okay?
He's in charge.
Yeah, he's in charge. No, I think it's the break as a whole. So listen to this very carefully. I was thinking about this morning about our Christmas break, okay? So we come in, and we obviously are celebrating the holidays. We set up, again, a game plan for the break. We got 16 days, and we're going to play on 2 of those days. We're gonna take 6 days off. We're going to practice. Wow. We're going to practice 8 of those days. We set up a plan for the break, and I think the idea that when you take time off is when you come back to practice, you have to be all there and all in. And I think the sign that probably impresses me the most is when we came into practice after having a few days off. I know Coach O'Connell and I are sitting in the office going, this doesn't happen normally. Normally you have a little bit of letdown after a break in practice, but our guys are coming to practice every day ready to go, and it's making us better.
Wow.
We're a better basketball team now than we were a month ago because of what we do in practice, and so the good thing for us is it's showing on the floor. We are winning a few games, and that's impressive. And I think, again, as important, if not more important, is the community service that we did over the break as well. We sponsored a family here in need within the school with some students. Elementary, middle school family that has elementary, middle school, and high school students. We were able to do a community service, a Christmas project, for that family, had them in and kind of sent them on their way. So you talk about a great break. We got the community service part. We were able to talk about that as a team and how important it is to have that a part of your life as you get older. We practiced really, really well, and then we won 3 games. So I think at the beginning of break, I couldn't really have envisioned, the break going any better than it did.
Life lessons.
That's right.
Life lessons learned.
And, of course, unfortunately, Coach, we got to take a short break. But once we return, we're going to talk more about the holiday tournament and, of course, the upcoming games. You have Columbia City and Northwood coming up next. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with more Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix. Good morning and welcome back to Coach's Corner. Mr. Zine, we were just talking over that break, and you had a question for Coach Abraham. You want to go ahead and ask him that question before we get started?
Yeah. Should we start with that?
Go ahead and start with that.
When you came in here, when I saw you in the hall, I really, really, really liked that hat.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to know, where you got it and the story. That's got to have a good story behind it.
Well, I don't know, but I'll tell you what. Actually, I'll give you the story. We have actually I don't know his name, but the guy sits right behind the bench. His name's Ricky, who goes to church out at the Vineyard. He's been to all of our home games, but I told him he had a red and white Hoosiers hat. And I said, you got to get a Warriors hat. He's like, well,
Yeah.
I said, I'll get you one. He said, if you do, it better have a ball on the top. So I said, okay. So I got a couple extra when I got the hat for him. And so I like them too. So yeah, we got. I gave one to him, and then I gave a couple to the coaches. So I don't know if that's interesting. But
yeah, well, I like it. It's green and gold sort of, and I like that, like you said, that ball on top, and wow, it even makes you look good.
I know.
I was going to use the word better, but
trust me, I know that's really hard to do. But it makes me cut my hair because I like.
Oh, there
a
you
hat,
go. Yeah, which I need to do.
So let's jump back to basketball.
Oh yeah. That's why we're here. Right?
That's our kind of why we're here. But let's keep talking a little bit about the tournament. So Coach, we were just kind of talking preseason, beginning of the season. We kind of talked about the benchmark you want to get over, and you've kind of already tied that 6-win mark. But how do you not get content with only winning 6 games? And how do you push your team to keep getting better and head into this big games in conference play?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I was saying last segment, we've done a really good job of really focusing on every day, and it's kind of cliche-ish, but it's what can we do today to get just a little bit better. And so, Coach O'Connell and I sit down and we spend more time than we probably should on creating practice plans, for each and every day. So it's not looking ahead. It's not, you really try not to, pay attention to your record, which is hard right now because we have only won 6 games in the previous 3 years, and that's not a lot of wins. But anybody that's been around and watched us play know that's not really indicative of what we've been doing within our program in terms of building, the culture and the idea that I had somebody stop me yesterday and tell me, I think I come to watch you guys play and I think we're going to win every night,
Wow.
And so it's the idea that I think we're going to win, and so winning is contagious. Once you start to kind of get the taste of what it takes to win, you start to understand, well, this is what we have to do in these situations. And if you look at the scores from our games, it's not like in the past where we did everything we possibly could do to have a chance at the end. Like we had a shot or, we maybe made a small mistake that cost us the game. We're taking close games and extending those out to win by 6 or 7 or 10 or whatever. And so I think you saw that, last night against Lighthouse. That game was really close. At the end of the third quarter, Jaden Boyer makes a huge play, dribbles right down the middle of the floor and gets fouled on a 3-pointer to take a 4-point game to a 7-point game. Well, we also, at the end of the first or second quarter, made a big play on a putback, I believe. So the end of quarter situations kind of add up to a big deal, even though they seem like a little. It's not that big of a deal. It is a big deal in terms of winning basketball games. So I think we're learning how to win, which is good. Now our schedule gets much tougher moving forward. We start getting into the heart of the NLC, but I think we've done a good job preparing ourselves to know how to practice, know how to prepare. And then we go out and try to execute, but the teams get better. There's no doubt about that.
And next Tuesday you're home against Columbia City, and Lighthouse didn't really have the best record, and Columbia City, they have a good record, but not necessarily a astonishing record, as you say. What do you guys do? Like, how do you not overlook teams, especially like a team like Lighthouse, because they give you early struggles, and then come into Columbia City? How do you not overlook a team like them?
Yeah, Garrett was the same way. They shoot a lot of threes. They had a really good player in Bordeaux, and for whatever reason he didn't start. You never know what another team's going through. There may be some internal things that are going on. They didn't come ready to play, but they took Lakewood Park to overtime, scored 83 points, and people, when they watched Garrett play against us, they thought, oh boy, they're not a very good basketball team, and they were not a good basketball team when they played against us yesterday morning. Make no mistake about that. I think we had something to do with that. They may have had some things going on. You never really know what's going on within a team's season, kind of outside of basketball, but that's not our problem. So, to me, it was selling the guys on just the facts. The facts are they shoot a lot of threes. They have a good player, and then with the Lighthouse, it was a team that played a style of basketball that we had not seen yet, in terms of their quickness, their athleticism, And those things have caused us problems in practice with our second team. So you got a varsity team coming in, doing the same things that our second team does that gives us problems. It wasn't hard to convince our guys that we needed to have good spacing and good passing in order to beat those guys. And again, I thought we'd come out in the first half and just did some things that maybe were similar to what we were doing in the beginning of the year, and it didn't work for us again. And so it was just a recommitment to some of the toughness and things we've been teaching. We did that in the second half.
And you got Columbia City on Tuesday, and just kind of talk about, have you guys done a lot of scouting for them or anything like that yet?
Yeah, we know them. They have a player that's really good, Wilson, and he has torched us the last 2 years. And so we're going to have our hands full, with him. But Columbia City is one that you look at their record, you look at their schedule, and you're thinking, I don't know what happened. Like in a couple games, they just didn't get the job done. And then in the other games, last night they beat Tippy Valley by 42 points.
Wow.
42 points. And I know Tippy Valley's got some talented young guys. So, they've had just in comparing scores, East Noble last night beats probably the best team on our schedule in Northridge by 10 points. East Noble won 68-58 against Northridge. And so Whitco beat Northridge. Whitco beat East Noble. And so, they've had some games where they've really played well and they've gotten some big wins, but they've also had some stinkers. So they're a little bit inconsistent. We would assume that they would come in on Tuesday night as a very confident group after a big win this weekend.
With all these scores and everything, I know you don't do very much research and you don't spend a lot of time looking at your opponents. Holy cow, that is amazing. All the time you and O'Connell. I mean, again, I brought this up in the earlier segment, but you guys do a lot of work that nobody ever realizes. That if you're going to be a head basketball coach in the state of Indiana, you got to do that.
And you're mentioning the records 3-6. So what is kind of your motivation to players to just not overlook them quite yet? Because as we know, you guys have a very, very tough game Friday against Northwood.
Yeah, we do. That's certainly in the back of our mind, especially being home. It's hard not to, look at that one on the schedule and think that, that's going to be a fun game. But it's when you use the Columbia City game, Columbia City and Northwood are similar type teams, and so I think really using the Tuesday game to say, hey, these are the things we're going to have to do this week in order to be successful. So we'll go take a look at Columbia City tonight and scouting them at Lakeland and kind of see exactly what they're doing. We got tons of data on them on Huddle, so we'll be prepared. I think we've shown that we'll be prepared for any team, any opponent that we're going to play.
Will any of your kids go with you, or just you and O'Connell, or is that? How does that work when you go and scout those teams?
Just
like
coach
that?
and I go. I just texted him. I said maybe we can turn that into a date night with our wives. And,
there you go. Whoa!
And, I'm sure they would be. The wives would be so excited to go watch.
There you go. Yeah,
Lakeland, Columbia City.
What a nice thing to do. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull that one off. But.
Well, I know your wife wouldn't mind being the basketball person that she is much better and knows all the good stuff about basketball. That
she does.
No wonder you're so good.
You guys are too nice to me after the games. You don't ask me real difficult questions.
Well, we can't. There's not many bad questions we can ask them to. A great performance.
Why
two
did
big
this
wins.
guy play or whatever? But I'll tell you what. When I go home, that's when the difficult questions start to arrive. I go home.
I just have one more quick question. The next few games are all at home. I was just looking at the basketball schedule this morning, and of course I can't remember who they are, but I know that we don't have to travel very. That's talk about that just for a second.
Well, every other year it's just the opposite.
Yeah,
we go on the road, but it certainly is nice to have some home cooking. In terms of not having to get on a bus and travel, and so I think it was 8 of 9 games. We're going to be at home here, so. The thing I'm most excited about is that our following. I really think, I'm not sure on this, but I think people are starting to pick up and come to the games.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a buddy of mine last night. There was a group of, my age people that were at the game, probably about 20, a little pocket of like 20 guys that normally don't come to high school basketball games, and the guy was telling me, hey, everybody was pretty excited about the way you guys played, and it was a fun game, and we're going to come back next week. And I think, again, that's how you build, people coming to the games, and they love watching our guys compete.
One of the things, too, that I've noticed, or not noticed, but since I've been around just a couple of years, is that when teams win, in Indiana especially, and in basketball especially, no matter who they are, they will get a following.
Yeah.
And you guys are starting to win. You're starting to be not only winning, but exciting.
Yeah.
All the games other than the Garrett game, I mean, they've never been blowouts. They've always been. You and I were talking about this, Braxton, on the air. They've got a chance to come back. And, we had, 6-7 point lead.
Yeah.
And, you just never know. And you were able to, I think that just makes it great, exciting, and gives you a good following that people enjoy that.
And, of course, the basketball schedule up next. After the Columbia City game, we have 3 straight conference games. So talk about what your mindset is, because conference is always probably the toughest part of your schedule. Just kind of talk about how you keep your players motivated and push them and prepare them for such a hard part of your schedule, the center of your schedule.
Yeah, like Kaz was just saying, I think just to follow up on that real quick before I get to that question is that the thing that I think people like is that they come to the games because they like the kids.
Yes.
If they knew the backstories of the family situations and some of the amazing successes at school and what other activities that they're in and involved in, and I think as they start to really get to know our guys, they're really kind of doing what I do, which is fall in love with the team, and so we got a great team. Again, not to hammer this to death, but the guy I was talking to last night was talking about basically intangibles. Like there's certainly, you put a group of 30 boys in a room, there's going to be some conflict and drama and things that you got to iron out because these two people, like this. There has been none of that. I swear that the kids hang out together. They all like each other. They're very likable kids. They all got different personalities. But we've had nothing in our locker room that would be a situation that we have to deal with that nobody else would know about, right? But there's just it's a special group in terms of we're just out there having fun. We're trying to get better. When it's time to go to work, we go to work. But when it's time to have fun, these guys really like each other. Our coaching staff, we really like them.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting dynamic with this year's team. But and then going to your question about what we do to get ready, we just do what we've been doing. Like if we can convince them today that today matters and that we're going to try to get just a little bit better. We don't have to go real long in practice, and they like that, right? We may practice 30 or 40 minutes today just because we played we played 2 games yesterday. We just come in short, sweet, to the point. What can we get better at right now? Get up some shots and then move on to Monday. So I think the worst thing that we can do is start talking to them about how daunting our schedule is coming up with 4A schools and the NLC. And we're simply going to talk about Columbia City. And after we put the things in for Columbia City, we're going to have Northwood in the back of our mind as coaches. Then we'll come back on Wednesday and say, okay, all right, here's the game plan. Here's what we need to do in order to beat Northwood. And again, like you said, the best thing about it is they're both home this week, so I'm pretty excited. But I'm excited for you guys in the upcoming segments to talk to Austin. He's had a great run here in the last 3 or 4 games, and he's made it look kind of easy. But his nickname outside of the basketball community with some of these people that are talking about is the Cobra. Because he strikes the Cobra. And I think Mr. Beasley came up with that name.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
He is like a Cobra. He can strike at any moment, steal that ball. Have you ever seen anybody steal the ball like that?
Yeah, and I don't know how much time.
We got plenty of time.
Austin and I or Braxton and I were talking about this. That Miller Stewart matchup last night. Mm-hmm. I was focused on that lots while you were calling the game, and I tell you, Miller did a great job of stealing the ball at least 3 times.
Yep.
And, he did not let Stewart have any shots that were really easy. I mean, Stewart still got 20 points. He still hit 8 out of 8 toward the end in his free throws. But boy, I tell you, that was a matchup that if I were going to recruit, I would have that on film because he did a great job against Stewart.
He is. Yeah.
But, Coach, unfortunately, we were running a little bit out of time.
Man.
Yeah, sorry about that. Coach, thanks for joining us and have fun on your scouting. But once we return, we're going to have senior Austin Miller joining us in the studio. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with more Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix. Good morning and welcome back to Coach's Corner. We're now joined by senior Austin Miller. And Miller, before Coach just left, he talked to us about something about you have the nervous case of giggles. Is that true?
Yeah. In the locker room, he would be talking about something serious, and then me, Jack, and this just other two people just start looking at each other and we start busting out laughing just for no reason.
Oh, man. And you don't get extra laps or extra push-ups or extra 20 minutes of extra shooting of something for that?
No, he actually kind of laughs with us, to be honest.
So just don't look at Jack back there because he's back there watching. So make sure you don't laugh.
There we go, yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit about early season before we jump into this game. So early season, you struggled a little bit. And of course, Coach made the decision to bench you. So I just kind of want to talk about that. What was your mindset going through that? Because as soon as you came off the bench, you ended up dropping 26, and ever since then, you've been just on a steamroll. Talk about what was your mindset and kind of just how you understood where Coach was coming from.
Yeah, it all started with I forget what game it was, but my body language. O'Connell came up to me and he was like, "We got to talk. Your body language. You can't have that in the community. You can't have other players looking up to you like that." And that kind of got to me. I was like, okay. So I took that for granted. I respect that for it. They sat me, and then I came in, showed them what I got. I'm not going to give up, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and then ever since then, you've Lighthouse game, he scored 20, is that correct? And the Garrett game, 20. He scored 20. So can I just talk about what your role is on this team as a senior?
I'm just trying to get players motivated. I'm trying to help them out.
Hey, I got a really quick question. How do you do so well in your defense? I noticed I was watching Stewart in the earlier game, and Stewart was really great. He hit 8 for 8 that actually won the game for them to put them in the finals. And then you come out, and I counted, I don't know how many, I'd have to watch the film again, but I counted 3 steals that you got from him, and he handles the ball really well. The other thing I was really interested in is a sophomore versus a senior. So, you actually, if I were scouting, you would actually have gotten more points because of the steals and then, of course, your 20 points. But did you scout him, or what's the story behind you and Stewart?
Well, first, I didn't even know he was a sophomore, actually. So he's a pretty good sophomore.
Oh, yeah.
To be honest. He was really good. But, yeah, my defense is since my freshman year, Everham's been a defensive coach. So I stepped on my defense my freshman year, and then I'm just really good anticipator. I know,
Yes.
I'm ready to know. I know when the ball's gonna get past the teammate, so I try to rush in there. Sometimes I can't get it. Sometimes I gamble too much, but.
Well, I don't think you gamble too much. I mean, if you don't make it, then your other poor teammates will cover for you. It's not like because I tried to steal and I screwed up, they're going to score an easy bucket. That just never happens. But what does happen is occasionally, I'd say, about half the time, when you make that anticipation, you get the ball and it's not an easy 2, but it's a good steal and 2 points.
Talk about your nickname, the Cobra. Where'd that come from?
I forgot who gave me that nickname, but they'd just be dribbling the ball, then out of nowhere, I just go in there and just steal from them. My lightning, I'm just lightning. It's so quick.
Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about your your student section, because you seem to be one of the more popular players on the court when you come out. Talk about what that means to your friends, family, and everybody just supporting you throughout the community.
Oh, it's great. The community is great. Parents are great. When we're playing, once a really close play and the fans get into it, the student section gets into it, and that's what we need from these people, because if we didn't have that, we would not be doing good.
Yeah, one of the other things I really like about watching you guys play, and we've talked about this a zillion times, and Coach Everingham said he didn't want to hammer it to death, but there is no selfishness on this team.
Yes.
And everybody will if you take an open shot and miss it, oh, well, maybe next time you'll hit it. And there's nobody that, okay, we got to get the ball to him all the time. That has not happened this year. How did you do that? How did you guys do that?
Well, it's good because we have Hardy. Hardy is a phenomenal post player. He's amazing. His shot fakes are good, really good. Then we have Jack. He's defense and just everything about him. And then,
No giggling now. Since you sit here in the studio. You guys, go ahead.
and then Keaton. He can shoot. He's really good too. But yeah, we have so many players that have opportunity to score and they can do it. So
And there's no like, oh, I've got to score, 10 points tonight, or everybody. But you don't have that attitude at all. That is so good.
yeah, like if I can't shoot, I know I can pass my other teammates like Keaton, Jack, Hardy, and all them. They can score.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and let's talk about early season. I believe you had an ankle injury. Is that correct?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did.
So talk about overcoming the ankle injury and what you did to kind of get better and improve.
Yeah, well, that one morning I came in and I played basketball in the morning. I sprained my ankle, and then I had to take a while off, and then I had to come back, and I was so out of shape, and I run up the court, my back was hurting. I was like, oh, this ain't gonna be good. But then coaches pushed me to get in shape, and I got back into shape a little bit.
Talk a little bit about your 3-point ability. I mean, I love the. Let's see. Last night you were 2 of 7, and you took what was it? You missed first 4.
Yeah.
And Braxton and I were talking about, man, he's off tonight. Then you came back and hit 2, and then you got a couple of layups. I mean, you wound up with 20 points. How do you? Well, of course, I'm so old that there was no 3-point shot. Talk a little bit about that and how you guys got to. There's several of you now that can hit that 3-pointer.
Yeah. For me, for a 3-point shot, I always sometimes when I know I'm not hitting my threes, I have to start shooting layups, or my mid-range game has to come back in because if you just can't. If you miss your 2 shots, your confidence goes down as a shooter. So that's what I had to do. Like I had to screw layups and make my confidence come back up.
How do you know when to take the 3? I would have no idea. I mean, and when not to.
You're asking the wrong player because if I'm shooting threes, I shoot at the wrong time. So
Really?
Yeah, sometimes I do it all the time when I'm not supposed to. So
Well, from looking at you, I don't know if Braxton agrees with this, but the shots that you take, the guy will back off of you. You've got that extra foot, extra 2 feet. And if he's not going to guard you, say, hey, I'll take it. And then, of course, you've got the pretty good with Hardy and Stover underneath and Dukes now.
Yeah.
You've got some good chances for offensive rebounds. So, anyhow, keep it up.
And let's talk a little bit about the younger kids in our community, because you were always a young kid and you always looked up to the basketball players on the basketball team. What does that mean to you to have younger players come up to you, especially like autograph night and like within the junior warrior program? What does that mean to have the young kids look up to you?
it's an awesome feeling because they want to be like us. They want to keep getting better. We kind of show that we don't do anything bad, stay out of trouble and all that. So it's good. It's good for them. It's good for us to teach them how to take care.
We talked about this too. I love to hear this part. What are you going to do next year?
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That was my next question.
I'm still looking for a job. I taught 46 years. And I'm thinking after every year, I thought, well, maybe I'll get a real job. But you'll have to cut that off the air, I'm sure. But tell what are your plans?
Okay.
First of all, let me interrupt me. Are you going to try to go somewhere where you can play basketball next year?
That's what I was planning on. I was gonna see if I would only go play basketball if I get a scholarship somewhere. But if I didn't get a scholarship, I probably wouldn't walk on. So that's where. So if I get a scholarship, I'd probably go play. But if not, then that's where I'm undecided because I don't know what I'm gonna do next. So
Yeah. Have you had any offer? How does that work now? I have no idea. I mean, has anybody said, hey, come and visit our campus?
they come scout you and watch you at your games. And Everham says there's been coaches there for me.
Wow.
And he's been talking to the coaches actually. And so,
but you don't know who they are yet.
He did tell me there was St. Francis. There's 2 other colleges. I forget what he told me, but St. Francis I know is one of them.
Oh, that's really good. I mean, to get a full ride to play ball. Of course, then they expect you to get a good job. And, even since I went to Xavier, I get these things around Christmas time, so I send them some money. But anyhow, it all works out. And it's going to be really interesting to see, number one, what are you interested in other than sports? Of course, I've never been interested in anything other than sports. But
I'm actually taking a class right now. It's building trades.
Oh.
And I am it's actually interesting for me because it's my first year taking it, and I'm learning new stuff in that class.
So you're gonna go outside and take college classes and go become a construction worker, or what do you want to study outside high school?
I really don't know yet because I'm just doing this class right now, so I don't know.
That's kind of interesting. You will eventually, when you get to the college you finally decide on, you'll go talk to a counselor there, and they'll try to figure out what you really want to do, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that's one of the most important times of your life.
Yeah.
Is figuring out what to do after you graduate from high school.
And just a couple of final questions because we got to cut this segment a little short because Coach Abraham took a little bit of time. What is your favorite thing about the basketball program that you just absolutely love, and something that you really don't see outside of the Wallacey basketball program?
Well, first off, from the basketball program, this is our first year since 2008 going 6-3, starting off really strong since 2008, and we couldn't be more happier in that, and that's probably one of the best feelings.
So then how do you not become content with 6-3? How do you guys keep improving to get better?
Question.
What are you talking about? Trying to get better?
No, yeah. How do you guys not come with just content with, we already have hit the 6-game benchmark that we've hit the last 4 seasons? How do you push yourself to get better as a team?
Well, the record shows it's 6-3, so we're going to keep going from there. So,
yeah, Coach Abraham touched on that too a little bit. You guys coming into practice, he said he was really surprised over the holidays when you came into practice. That you were really intent. That it was like, oh geez, I'm tired. You were tired. You got up and their whole group is like that. And he said this is the first time he's had a group that is intense in practice as you guys are.
Yeah, because we have a group chat and we text each other all the time, and we tell each other we cannot play bad practice today. We have to do something. We have to show them that we're ready to play today.
Wow, that texting, I never thought about that. That is
that's true.
Now, do you need a phone for that? Is that one of these mobile phones?
Yeah, you need a phone.
You don't go to the phone booth and put in your quarters and do that with that, right?
That was back a while ago. And a final question for you, Austin. What are some other activities that many people might not know about you just because, a lot of people just see you on the court? You have any other hobbies, interests?
No, but I have one thing to say. The one thing I'm really good at is we got the Wii system, and I am really good at Guitar Hero. That's all I gotta say.
So if anybody wants to challenge Miller to a Guitar Hero game, just let us know.
Yes.
But
now, what is that? Do they get on and play guitar?
Yeah, you act like you're playing guitar, and then you have to you play songs on the Wii. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty high tech.
Oh wow, yeah. Well, you gotta learn how to turn my computer on.
Sure, your granddaughters can help you.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're 4 and 6, so yeah, they'll know how.
So once again, that's Senior Austin Miller. Austin, thanks for joining us this time, and congratulations on the fantastic season so far. Keep it up. But coming up next, we have sophomore Jack Stover joining us in the studio. So we're going to take a short break, and once we return, we'll be right back with more Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix. Good morning and welcome back to Coach's Corner. We're now joined by sophomore Jack Stover. Jack, how you doing this morning?
Pretty good.
So let's talk about your role on the basketball team. You're only a sophomore, but you seem to have a pretty solid role on the basketball team.
I am just a sophomore, and it's kind of crazy kind of getting thrown in the mix. But I'm just kind of there to facilitate the ball and get rebounds. Not really a high scorer, just trying to get open looks for everybody else.
One of the things I really like about this team, and we've talked about this a billion times, and I'm going to hammer it to death, but how you guys get along. And as a sophomore, getting along with all these other upperclassmen and coming in as a sophomore and playing on the varsity, most of the time sophomores are stuck. No, I shouldn't say that. Cut that, will you? Most of the time sophomores, are JV players. But, playing varsity is really quite an accomplishment for someone like yourself.
It's really fun actually playing on varsity. I've developed some pretty good relationships with a lot of the upperclassmen. It's pretty fun. I enjoy it a lot more than JV.
Yeah, and tell me, like he said, your role. You do a good job rebounding. You do a good job screening out. You guys are really, really good as a team. How does that mold? How did you fit into that so quickly this year?
I think just watching the guys a lot last year and kind of learning from the seniors that graduated last year, I was able to just kind of slip in and do that.
Yeah, so you and Dukes, you guys have always been kind of pretty good friends throughout the basketball. So talk about having Dukes alongside you because you guys are both sophomores. Talk about how that kind of helps you grow and not necessarily be scared of the big stage.
Yeah, having another sophomore on the varsity level is really, really great when I have someone there to kind of talk with and kind of figure things out with, so I don't look as dumb on the floor.
Hey, tell me a little bit about your basketball background. I know you're only a sophomore. Or, we haven't signed a pro contract yet, have you? As a sophomore in high school, no pro contract. You're no. So, but how did you get? Tell me about your interest in basketball. How did that get started?
I was really little, and I was just kind of trying out sports, and basketball kind of clicked, and it was just kind of what I wanted to do.
Do you play a lot like on your own? Like, well, of course, I lived in Indy for my whole life, and then moved up here, and I would run back and forth because I had all my relatives in Indy. And before, when we started, you would see tons of kids playing ball out on the streets. Now, when I go back and make that make that trip to Indy, you don't see hardly anybody. I mean, I think the computer has just ruined kids playing basketball, and you have that has not let happen to you.
Oh, no, we go to the community center all the time. We have some fun 5-on-5 games. We got some 21 games going on people's driveways all the time.
Isn't that great? That is just super.
Yeah, and let's talk about I just mentioned you're only a sophomore. Talk about how the seniors and the upperclassmen have helped kind of mold you into your role and not necessarily made you intimidated.
Yeah, they're not really intimidating. They really like to help. They want the best for the team just like everybody else, so they want to see everyone grow and get better.
And do you want to talk about your nervous case of giggles as you and Miller seem to have together?
Yeah, we
I want to hear this.
just
This guy's
can't.
good.
I don't know what it is, but
Miller's
anytime
over there
Coach
giggling
talks,
also now. He's waiting for you.
anytime Coach says something or he's trying to be serious, you just can't do it.
That's so neat.
It's rough, but Coach doesn't seem to mind. He likes to laugh with us a lot too. It's pretty great.
Tell me about your schoolwork. What are your ambitions? Are you going to be a major in what? Chemistry and mathematics here?
I enjoy math.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do, but I'd like to go in some kind of engineering, something
Really?
like that. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of neat to have that,
That
kind
was
of
a
a
good
goal.
guess there, Kaz.
That's kind of neat to have that kind of a goal.
You want everybody to be
That
like
early.
you, so you just guess
No,
it?
nobody
Yeah, I'm
should ever
just
be
kidding.
that bad. They've got to have. My wife keeps kidding me a lot because I have absolutely no goals in life, and I'm still looking for a real job, even though I'm on Social Security and
you're
teacher's
retired.
retirement. I know.
So you got to
I'm still
enjoy
looking-
it.
But well, that's too hard for me.
So let's Stover. Last night, you guys had a huge 2-win games, and this season has kind of just been a turning point in the Wall Street basketball program. Talk about what your role and what that means to you as a player. You should have 2 more years within the program.
Yeah, having 2 more years is pretty exciting. This is I'm using this year as kind of like a learning year and trying to figure everything out. But the season started off pretty strong. We're kind of meshing together pretty well. This group is a really good group, and I think we're gonna do some pretty good things the next couple years.
And then, of course, you've got a lot of. Well, tell me about the rest of the season. And like, you got to practice today at 1:00. You got 2 games this week.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are home. But tell me about the mentality they were getting ready for this the rest of the season.
We a lot of time don't pay attention to our record, and we're just kind of like, we got to win next
That's
game,
great.
next game.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're a sophomore, only a sophomore as mentioned, but what does it mean to you to have younger players look up to you and say, I want to be like him on the court?
Yeah.
It's really, really cool because when I was young, I was always looking up to these guys, and I was like, I really want to be a varsity basketball player. And now that I've made it, kind of knowing how they feel is really, really fun.
You gonna do any other sports? Do you do any other sports besides basketball?
I played golf last year.
Is that a sport?
I don't know.
Yeah, golf's a sport. We have a team for it.
Yeah, I better not. We can cut that out too because I don't want the golf coaches to come over here with one of their. They have clubs now.
Yeah, they have a club.
club and hit me over the head with one. Of those. So you might do golf then?
I might. I'm thinking about it. I might also just kind of focus on basketball though.
Yeah, now you have not listened to those commercials on 93.7. They have that commercial.
You seem to listen to this
I
radio
listen to the radio
station a
station
lot.
all the time. Every time I travel, I listen to it until it goes out. If you get down by Warsaw or by Webster, it fades out. The distance isn't very much. But they have this commercial that you need to be at least a 2-sport athlete in Indiana high school sports now. But anyhow, if you haven't listened to that commercial, that's okay.
What are some of your other dreams? Since you're still really young, but what do you want to do? Do you want to play basketball in college, like Miller talked about, or do you just want to jump straight and go into college and go to a career?
I don't know. I was thinking about it. I'm not 100% sure if I'd play basketball. I mean, if the opportunity presented itself, I might. But I think going just straight into the academic portion would probably be my path.
Do you do pretty well in your grades? What's your GPA?
I believe my GPA on a 12 point right now is an 11.3 something.
Oh, gee,
be a little nice there, Cal. That's a little personal.
Well, I know that's a horrible GPA. I mean, give me a break.
I know.
That is tremendous.
Yeah,
one of the nice things about that is between that and your athletics, they're going to hunt. The colleges are going to hunt you down.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, well, they will, because what they want is the smart kids that'll get a degree, that'll earn money, that'll give back to the college.
So
you don't think about.
You know
that
why he has such a high GPA is because you left the year before you came through.
Yeah. 2 years before. Yeah, well, that's good. You had good teachers then.
Yeah, so I'm just kidding. But let's just talk about what are your favorite things about the Wall Street basketball program as a whole?
I really like the togetherness we have as a team. It's really fun to be with all these guys, and they're just really great to be around. I mean, the coaches are great, and we just have fun, and it's fun to be around.
And
no, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So what are you've learned a lot from the senior class. So when you're a senior, what are some of the things you're going to take from this senior class or this team specifically and transition to when you're a senior to help the younger kids?
Leadership is a big thing. The seniors this year are very big leaders, and I'm hoping that maybe like me and Dukes will be able to kind of fill that role as we become seniors.
Will you ever have to talk other kids into doing basketball, like the freshmen coming up? Is that the people playing in the 8th grade and 7th grade, in the middle school? Have you had any contact with those kids and kind of encouraging them? Or
I have a little bit of contact with a few of them. We all kind of know each other, and a lot of them will probably come to the high school level and play.
Do you work in the junior warrior program at all?
I do.
So you helped out with that briefly?
Yeah, I do.
And we talked about this, but talk about the little Christmas break extravaganza you guys had sponsoring a family.
Yeah, that was really cool. It was fun to be a part of. We sponsored a family for Christmas, and it was just a great thing as a team to do, and we learned a lot. Coach kind of organized all that.
That's one of the nice things about Everingham and O'Connell is doing that kind of community service. I mean, it's one thing to play and to do your schoolwork, but then to give back to the community, especially at this age. I just admire O'Connell and Everingham and all you guys on the team to give your time to be able to do that.
And we were talking a little bit about yourself, but what are some other interests you have just outside of sports, school as a whole?
I mean, I play like 2K and stuff a lot, but I live kind of in the woods a little bit. I like to ride 4-wheelers and stuff.
Do you do any hunting?
I do hunt a little bit.
What is your main source of hunting? What? I'll put it bluntly.
What animal?
What do you kill? Yeah, what do you kill and do you eat it?
We hunt a lot of deer on our property, but I wasn't able to hunt this year because basketball was so.
Come on, I thought didn't you study biology?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so you should know all the animals.
But I forget everything. You remember Alzheimer's is kicking in. The only thing I ever hunted was rabbit. And, oh God, I love to eat my grandmother's rabbit stew. But anyhow, so you have hunted deer and you freeze it and cut them up and dissect them and
I don't know if you know all that stuff.
Have all that free food.
Something like that. Just a couple final questions. Can you beat Miller and Weed? I just gotta know that one.
Can I beat Miller and me? I don't know about Guitar Hero. I could probably beat him in like Wii Baseball though.
You know that they have sports on Wii too, so you don't have to play.
I have no idea what weed is. I mean, that was a lot different back in the '60s when I was playing.
And what is your outlook on the season? Kind of, do you have any personal goals?
I'm just trying to get through the season. To be honest, it's going pretty good so far, and I think we're gonna have a good season.
And then, as a team, is there any specific team goals you guys have that you really just want to hit?
I just think we want to keep improving our record, kind of break that like hump as we call it, just trying to get over that and get to the next thing.
And let's see how much. Yeah, so this is gonna be the final question. So last year, did you play at all varsity?
Last year I did not.
Okay, so you were on the team, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, but you saw the heartbreak and the sectional loss.
Oh yeah.
So talk about what what are you going to do and what your team is doing specifically to get over that win a sectionals? Because you guys know it felt amazing to win the holiday tournament. So what is your team striving to make sure you guys win the sectionals and go on deeper into the tournament?
Every practice, we're just trying to, tweak everything till it's perfect. And we're just, we're all listening to Coach, and Coach kind of knows what he's doing. He's got the plan, and we just got to follow the game plan for that.
A good answer.
Yeah. So once again, that's sophomore Jack Stover. Kaz, do you have any final thoughts?
No final thoughts. I really enjoy watching you guys play. You guys are, I've said a million times, and I'll say it again, you will not realize until you're like my age how lucky you are to have O'Connell and Everingham and the group that you're with. And you'll keep contact with all this electronic stuff. Will they be able to keep contact?
Oh, I don't know.
Will they have to go to the phone booth?
No, the phone booths are pretty gone. So once again, that's sophomore Jack Stover. Thanks for joining us this morning. And Kaz, as always, it's been an honor to do this talk show with you.
I love working with you guys.
So we'll be right back. Nope, we're not going to come back. So this is the end of it. So have a good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix.